Here's a fact. There are more youngsters in the cadet forces than there are soldiers in the British Army. So in Britain, when you meet someone in uniform, chances are it'll be a cadet rather than a soldier. And that's only set to increase with the government pledging a 30% rise in cadet participation, setting itself a more ambitious target than for recruitment in the armed forces. So why do so many teenagers sign up? And what's it all about anyway? We joined Humberside and South Yorkshire Army Cadet Force to find out more.
I like cadets because it allows me to make friends, it allows me to gain skills and knowledge that you wouldn't really gain from anywhere outside.
So I think it's probably the push that it gives you to get yourself out of your comfort zone, doing new things, progressing as an individual as well, and obviously transferable skills that are going to be useful in the future. In whatever field I decide to go into, really.
I joined Army Cadets for the qualifications, both being able to grow as like a person and get the physical qualifications that you can put on your portfolio.
What's it like to be part of a youth organisation? I mean, do you get to make lots of friends, for example?
Yeah, a lot of friends, and it builds social skills a lot. And with like working with teams with people you don't know, you bond quite quickly, and there's definitely a sense of community, I'd say.
The activities going on here have a direct link to UK defence. Anybody who served in the Cadet Forces and the British Army already know that. But now this organisation's been formally recognised by its inclusion in the government's recent Strategic Defence Review. That recognition means these youngsters, whether they realise it or not, have a role to play in the defence of the realm. At the training we observed, cadets aged around 13 to 17 were learning fieldcraft, occupying a harbour area, establishing all-round defence for a section or platoon. It's a similar lesson to those we've seen at Phase 1 training establishments. In fact, it's so similar, there's a professional soldier here from the Infantry Training Centre in Catterick, checking standards.
Yeah, that's when we can then bring his weapon systems up and we can start scanning it. We don't realistically want to be scanning for too long while we're moving, because if I'm like this, yeah, and the patrol's gone firm, what's potentially going to happen? You're going to trip over them, man. You're going to make a right clatter and a right bang, make loads of noise, telegraph your position.
For 16-year-old Alfie, these are his final days with his cadet friends. In a few weeks, he begins basic training, having secured a place in the regular army. This the closing chapter of his childhood, and he's spending it in uniform.
I've got my place in Army Foundation College at Harrogate, so I'm going there in a couple of weeks. So I'm glad that I get to start work and do the job what I've been wanting to do ever since I was 9 years old.
How do you think the Army Cadets has prepared you for what you're about to do?
I believe it's prepared me in many ways, especially in the motivation and obviously the early wake-ups especially, because I don't like waking up early, but through this I've managed to able to gain the ability to wake up early if I need to. And obviously when it comes to keeping your bed space tidy, it's one of the main things what we do here, especially when it's on, even if it's a weekend camp or an annual camp, which is what we're on now. It's always, as long as your bed space is tidy and your room's tidy, then it's all good for the room inspections, what mostly happen every now and again.
But how far does being an Army Cadet get you when you join the actual Army? We spoke to professional soldiers who've just passed out of Phase 1 training at the Army Foundation College in Harrogate, all of them former Army Cadets.
During the start of the course, I did feel ahead of all my other peers, and cadets gave me a head start into the Army as of some sorts, you know, like teaching me all the fundamentals, like being able to iron your kit, polish your boots, basic field skills, you know, personal ammo in the field, all of those, you know, basics and fundamentals which I learned through cadets has definitely benefited me here.
Just the experience of like knowing drill, how to polish boots, how to iron, how to mould a beret, and just like being able to be around lads that have no idea what they're doing and just be like, this is how you do this is how you do that. Just try and like give a bit more experience to the rest of the platoon and help everybody out and try and get everybody up to that standard.
The first 6 weeks, I'd say skill at arms, that were a big one, because obviously people hadn't even touched a rifle before and a weapon system, but like in cadets, you don't break it down as much, but like you still use the rifle, so you know what to do, like how to do NSPs and stuff like that, and just like your admin, just like polishing your boots, like just simple things like that.
Did it help you when you joined the Army?
Some bits, so like drill and stuff, like some of it helped, but then they get taught differently here than in cadets?
It's pretty well known now that individuals that have been in the cadet forces serve for longer and promote much more quicker. Now, part of the reason for that is they've developed a resilience and an understanding besides the actual practical skills that they will encounter once they get into training. But a lot of it is just confidence and resilience, which of course are the same skills that they would also take into the civilian employment.
The government has announced £70 million of new funding to help cadet forces reach that 30% growth in participation. Some question this influx of taxpayer cash, accusing the government of recruiting to the armed forces via the back door. But not every cadet sees this as a pathway into a career in the army. Many are clear they have no interest in joining the military.
I think it definitely helps, but I think the skills definitely transfer into any field, and even if that's not the field you want to go into, like with me for example, it's still going to benefit me so much in the future.
Well, what field are you thinking of going into?
I'm thinking business and management.
Every skill in the army you learn in the Army Cadet Force is transferred over to everyday life, from basic communication skills to growing as a person, because every workplace you work as a team, and being able to go from a shy kid to growing up to be a confident adult who can talk in crowds, talk to new people and get all these experiences from the Army Cadet Force is massively important in everyday life.
The Cadet Force has been around for 166 years now, and a lot of people are very familiar with it visually but don't understand how it's evolved and what it is that it actually delivers. So it is absolutely wonderful to finally see the recognition of the whole of society value that the Cadet Force delivers.
Those we spoke to broadly welcome the announcement made by government around youth participation in cadets and the increase in its funding. Ministers also plan to train air cadets to pilot drones and to appoint a champion for these youth organisations. It all points to one thing: at training camps like this, there are real opportunities to support the UK's defence objectives. And for some, there's a pathway here into a meaningful career in the armed forces. James Wharton, BFBS Forces News, Warcop, Cumbria. Thanks for watching. For more from BFBS Forces News, like and subscribe to our channel.